August the 5th. It's the day to gather tomatoes. This has been probably one of the most difficult gardening years I've ever done. The rain had a lot to do with it. I think everybody suffered from the rain. The weed pressure has been terrible because of the rain. There's been so much that started out looking fantastic. It wound up looking just like it wasn't never cared for in the beginning, but that wasn't the case. Blackbirds have found that little patch of corn over there getting ready. See them flying out of it? They found that. But now I did harvest that whole little patch of corn there ahead of them. They're digging and scratching in that stuff over there. It's 4 or 5 days from being ready. I hope they're not running it. But if they are, they are. I'll go over and see what they're doing. But anyway, we're going to go after these tomatoes today. There's a lot in here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut some up and we're going to can them chunked and halved. And then I'm going to juice a bunch of them. But I'm going to have several tomatoes to get out of here. The rabbits are really in here now because of the weeds they can hide. So I'm going to take what tomatoes I can out of here today and see what we got. So let's get to doing some tomatoes, guys. We'll see what we got. There ain't nothing we can do about the weeds now. Pretty good tomatoes. A couple of them aren't hardly ripe enough. There's a big old tomato. A couple of them aren't hardly ripe enough to juice or to cut, but a couple days sitting on the counter, they'll be good. There's a bunch of tomatoes down there in that one little old plant. Good looking tomatoes. Big tomatoes. There's off one little plant. They're down there on the ground. They're not laying on the dirt, they're laying on that matting under there that was supposed to keep them weeds from coming. So they're not rotting. But, yeah, it did too, it's laying on it. Pick them up, keep them from finishing out rotting. Give that one to the chickens. But the tomatoes done nice, but now the weeds did too. I don't know anybody that tried harder to not have weeds than I tried. I know we all try, but now I put a lot of time down here. I was putting in 30 hours a week just to do my best to keep these weeds out. But whenever I spent 18 days that I could not get in here, there just wasn't nothing left to try. We were just ruined. But we take what we can get. Or at least that's what I've always been told. Hope for the best. Now there's going to be a lot of tomatoes here. Now these are Jet Stars. Or they could be Red Snapper. They was mixed up in there. They're one of the two. I do believe that the Jet Stars are the smaller tomatoes. I believe these bigger ones are the Red Snappers. I mean, look at this. That's a great big tomato. And some of those plants on that side are potted tomatoes like these, but they're nowhere near that size. They're whatever they are. I'll tell you why I planted them. Looking for a, look at there. There's a 5-gallon bucket full of tomatoes off of 1, 2, 3, 4, off 5 plants. There's a 5-gallon bucket full of tomatoes. But there's a whole lot of tomatoes in there. Some of them still are orange. Ain't hardly turning yet, but you're gonna get bad spots in them if I don't do something with them. Tell you what, I hate weeds worse than anybody in the world, and I've got them. That's driving me up the wall. The fact that I got them. But I'm going to take my harvest. So I don't know what's going to happen. Take my harvest. Pretty good sized maters. I got some Rutgers over there. They're not as big as baseballs, but these tomatoes here are pretty good size. Our birds that was hatched out in that bush, they left. They was in there for about 11 days. They was hopped up and was gone. The tomatoes have stood and stood and stood. I've read 100 posts. I've read 100 posts, different garden sites. Everybody going, why won't my tomatoes get red? Why won't my tomatoes get red? Everybody's got basically the same problem. Best I can tell. They ain't getting red because of the weather, but they're turning red now. You see all on some of these good YouTube channels where they grow some good vegetables, they ain't got no weeds. Now I don't know what they done not have now, but I'm proud of them. Whatever they done not have no weeds. And I hope they're getting harvest. And I'm just going to show you. Well, I'm going to break that plant and get it out of there. Tomato. I'm just going to show you what a garden looks like. It's full of weeds. If you've got something other than weeds in there too, you got lucky. Stepping on the tomatoes. They're down in the grass. There's another 5-gallon bucket full of tomatoes. There's another 5-gallon bucket full of tomatoes. Some of these sunflowers have got really tall. That one's massive. But that's 12 feet top of that. Bees are still loving them though. Bumblebees and honeybees. More bumblebees than anything this morning. There's 5-gallon bucketfuls of tomatoes. 5 of them. And there's a, see what that weighs. 30.8 pound. The bucket weighs pound. So there's right at 30 pounds of tomatoes, just the average. So there's I'm gonna say there's right at 145 to 150 pounds of tomatoes. That wasn't bad for a little harvest off those. There's some good aromas in there. I really like them aromas. But for them Jet Stars, pretty nice tomatoes. Red Snappers, pretty nice tomatoes. All right, let's get them in the house.
Happy Rabbit.